Hey all, happy Tuesday. Thank you for joining me here tonight. Tonight we are continuing on the flower garden embroidery. This is what we started last night, is our embroidery of the month. So thanks again for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make cute embroidery kits for the beginning crafter. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's 9:30 Eastern and 6:30 Pacific, and it is a time that we can relax and craft together. I'm here for about an hour, and I work on projects from beginning to end, so you can be part of the whole process along the way. Feel free to ask your questions. I am here both live on YouTube and Facebook, so take your pick. I know a lot of people like watching on YouTube so they can watch on their TV, and chatting on Facebook where you can reply to people. It's a little bit more chatty. So thank you guys again for joining me. We are continuing on the flower garden embroidery. So we started this last night. Here's how far we got. We transferred our design and we stitched the little tulip. We did it all with the back stitch, and tonight we are going to be doing the French knot and the lazy daisy stitch as well. So thank you guys again, and I'm going to flip you around. Let's get going here. Okay, here we are for the evening. I am excited to be working on this guy again. Okay, so here is where we left off. I think tonight what I'd like to do is start by stitching these little guys here, the little stamen there, and then we'll do the French knots there. And after we do the French knots, I am going to go over the things you may be doing wrong with your French knots, the three things that you might be doing one or all three of them. The things that if you switch these three things up, you will be making perfect French knots. I know a lot of people have trouble with the French knots. I'm going to grab the yellow. So we'll stitch these first, and then off to the side here, I'll show you those three things. So first off, let's get it in the hoop. Yesterday we took it out of the hoop just so it doesn't permanently crease it, really. If you keep your embroidery in the hoop for a really long time, I mean, we're not, just overnight is, who cares, but if you're going to be doing it for a while, then you may want to take it out of the hoop. It's a good habit to get into. I'm trying to form that habit a little bit more. Happy Tuesday. Hey Jan, hey Nora, hey Barbara. All right, you guys, we are, Barbara's saying hello, can't wait to see what we're doing tonight. Tonight we are continuing stitching. I'm going kind of right to left, and we'll be doing French knots and lazy daisies for sure. So I have my pattern printed out. This is the PDF pattern that you get in your email, and I just printed it out from my phone. I am going to flip to this page again. And you can actually just keep this on your phone too. You don't really need to print it out except for tracing the design. All right, so this is how I know what stitch goes where and what color. So I'm just going to have this nearby me so I can glance at it. And the first color is that yellow. We cut a little piece yesterday, so I am going to grab the three strands. So I'm using the three strands tonight. We talked about that a little last night. There are two different yellows in the kit. There's a yellow, and then there's this pale green. So in my printout, they look pretty close. On your screen, if you have it on like your phone or iPad or something, it'll be a little bit more clear. But it's a yellow and then like a pale kind of citrusy green. Close, but not quite. And feel free to use, again, whatever colors you like. I know some people are starting to share their progress in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group, and they're looking cute. All right, so I'm just taking my three strands out again, and I'm doing that by just kind of isolating one of the strands. There's 6 strands total, and I am just pulling it right out. It looks like it's going to bunch up and be crazy, but it actually just relaxes once you have the 3 strands. Oh no, you're out of solid fabric. Leslie, feel free to use a colored or a patterned fabric. That would be amazingly gorgeous, I think. Especially if you have like a low volume one that's kind of like a light colored fabric with just like a simple pattern. I think that would be really beautiful. But I mean, this on a really bright fabric, a bright pattern fabric could be really fun too. That's a fun way to experiment with stuff for sure. Hold on a sec, you guys. All right. Oh, you want to learn? Don't have the supplies yet. Will you have tutorials on this? So Sylvia, this will stay live. Well, it won't be live anymore, but it will stay available over on YouTube. It'll actually be available on Facebook as well, on Penguin and Fish on Facebook, or Penguin and Fish Movies on YouTube. So if you look for the live videos, which would be just right on the front page in YouTube, you'll see them there. But yes, and I am going to do some shorter tutorials on this as well, but for now, you can definitely watch the replays. Oh, you saw, Erica said that she saw a Kenmore sewing machine with that crinkly matte finish at the local Facebook marketplace. Ugh, I love my crinkle sewing machine. So that's my matte black sewing machine. It's my Kenmore sewing machine from, oh gosh, either the early 1940s or the late 1930s. I gotta look it up again. But I love it so much. It's so fun. I love my old sewing machines. It's nice. All right, so I'm going to do all of these back stitches like what we were doing last night. I'm going to do all those first, and then I will go through these 4 French knots, and we can dig into those a little bit more closely. And then I suspect if you aren't doing, if you feel like you can't get your French knot quite right, I suspect you're doing 1 or more of 3 things. So we will definitely go over that. All right, I'm going to do this last little stitch. I'm just scrolling through your comments, everyone, as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask along the way. Oh yeah, so this is our embroidery of the month. So every month we release a new kind of special embroidery that's only available for the month. On top of our normal embroidery kits and that sort of thing. And it's a little different. It changes each month. Sometimes there's a little fun deal in it. This month we had some of these adorable little Post-it notes, these little floral Post-its in the bundle. So I always try and do something a little special for the embroidery of the months. And they're available as a bundle, but those tend to sell out pretty quickly. And then we also have the pattern. And so you can still get the pattern, and that's available through the end of May. So there's 1 more week. Oh my God, May is almost over already. How can that be? That's crazy. So I always stitch it the 3rd full week of the month. And that is this week. So we do go over all of the, if you get the embroidery of the month and aren't sure how you're going to stitch it, we do stitch it every third week. Okay, we are done with those little back stitches. You could actually do 1 long stitch for this. That would actually be pretty cute. I think that's what we did for, here's my sample piece here. This is what it's going to look like when it's done. But here, it was just 1 big stitch, and that looks pretty cute too. 1 big long stitch. So you can play around. All right, so here is the French knot. So I'm going to start at this one. I'll kind of walk you through what I do, and then I'll show you the 3 things you might be doing wrong. All right, I always come up from one side of the dot, it's nice to work on a flat surface. Or if you have a third hand, that would be helpful too. So I hold the thread kind of taut. I'm not pulling on it, it's just straight. And I'm pointing the needle away from the fabric. So I'm not pointing it towards, I'm pointing it away. And I'm just twisting it around twice. And I start from the outside and I come towards me and then around. I think some people go this way too, and that should be fine as well. I'm just used to going this way. Twice, then I hold those loops on the needle so I can let go now because I'm holding those loops. I get the thread out of the way, and now I'm pointing the needle towards the fabric. So I was pointed away, now I'm pointed towards. I'm gonna go on the opposite side of that dot. All right, and then I'm putting the needle about halfway in, and I can let go, but I'm still holding the needle halfway. It's halfway on the back and halfway on the front. I'm going to pull the thread taut, and then I'm going to hold it there with my thumb. I like doing this. You know, you won't see every person stitching do this, but I find it's helpful. I put my thumb there. I'm just holding those loops in place as I pull my thread through. And there we go. We got a cute little French knot there. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to do the other ones, and then we'll talk about French knots a little bit more. So coming up on the one side, holding it away, and pointing the needle away, going around twice. Hold those loops. Get that thread out of the way. Now point towards. Go on the other side of that dot. Halfway in with the needle, pull your thread tight, and then hold it there with your finger, and then pull through slowly. So there we go. Cute, cute, cute. All right, so this is kind of, I'll do these last two at kind of the normal speed of me doing a French knot, and then I'll show you it in more detail, the things you might be doing wrong here. So, all right. This is my normal kind of French knot speed. And we'll jump in and do this last one right away too. I definitely am always setting it on the table like that. It's really difficult to do without setting it down, I find. Okay, and there we are, 4 little cute French knots. All right, so I'm going to just weave in the ends, just so that part is done. Our next yellow part is way on the other side. It's that daisy, or daylily, I guess. I don't know. Someone's got to help me with my flowers here. I'm calling it, oh no, like the cone flower, maybe. I don't know. The yellow daisy cone flower, whatever it is. All right, so I'm going to just leave this here for now while I show you guys the French knots. So I'm going to put a few little dots over here with my little water-soluble marker, and we'll pretend that these are some French knots that we need to stitch. All right, so here are the 3 things you may be doing wrong. Number 1, you're coming up right in the middle of your French knot. So I'm coming up right in the middle of that dot. And you might be doing everything else right. So I'm going to point my needle away, go around twice, hold it in place there. Okay, but now I'm going to go back in that exact same hole. So this might be one of the things you might be doing wrong. So if I go in the exact same hole that I came out of, right there, and I'm following through with the rest of the stitching, but if I go in that exact hole, I might come into an occasion where the hole gets too large. I'm trying to force it here. But there we go. My knot popped through to the back. And there it is. Now I got a big crazy knot on the back too. So that might be one of the things you're doing wrong. And that's by going back in the exact same hole. What you want to do instead I like coming up on one side of the hole, or one side of the dot, I guess let's call it. I'm doing everything else right. We'll go over that again. But now when I'm coming back down, I will go across that dot. I want at least 2 or 3 of these little threads of the fabric. I want at least 2 or 3 of those in the middle. So look, I'm going, a few of those threads away. I'm gonna pull it tight. And now there's no way that that French knot can pull through to the other side because there's just too much fabric in between it. So that's the first thing you may be doing wrong. And that again was going into the same hole. We don't want to do that. You want to go across the dot. All right, here is the second thing you may be doing wrong. So if your knots are pulling all the way through the back, that's probably your error. This might be your second error. So I'm coming up here. And instead of holding the thread and then pointing the needle away, you may be pointing it towards your fabric. So let's point our needle towards our fabric. We'll go around twice. Presumably we're doing everything else right. I'm going to go on the other side of that dot. Let's pull it taut. I'm going to hold it here. And let's pull our thread through. All right, but look at that. We don't have a knot at all. It is just basically one little stitch, right? So what happened there? So that is from not pointing the needle away. So we really weren't creating a knot at all in that case. We were just looping it around the needle a few times before unpulling it. So again, what we want to do instead of pointing it towards the fabric, the point of the needle towards the fabric, we want to point it away. So you can even hold the thread away and then hold the needle right against the fabric and point both of them up. That's a good way to think about it. So, and then we're just going to wrap it around with the needle still pointing up. Then we hold the loops and then we switch and go towards. So now we've gone towards. I'm going to go on the other side of that dot, pull the thread taut, and then go through. So there we go. Now we got our knot here. So that is the second thing you may be messing up here. All right, and last thing that you might be doing wrong, and I'm going to try and exaggerate this a little bit. So you might be doing everything else right. Okay, pointing the needle back towards. But you might not be pulling the thread tight against the fabric like this. And the other thing is you might not be holding these loops down. So I always like having my thumb holding these loops down. But if you're not doing that and you pull through, let's see if I can get it to do that. There we go. So you might end up with these just loop-de-loop-de dudes. So this is basically a knot, but we do have these loops are a little bit higher and a little bit more loopier than we might want them. And I'm going to really exaggerate it now just so you guys can see. So I'm going to go around again, but I'm not even going to pull the thread taut against the fabric. I'm just going to pull through. And there we go. If you are getting a squiggly squiggle like this, then you're definitely going to want to pull your thread against the fabric. So let me show you how to do it right again. So pointing away. Okay, now I'm holding those two loops and pointing it back towards the fabric, and I'm going halfway in. So after going halfway in with the needle, I'm going to pull the thread taut against the fabric and the needle. So there, my loops got nice and tight down there. They're not all loose like they were before. And now I'm going to put my thumb, bumped you guys. I'm going to put my thumb right on those loops, right against the fabric there. And that's holding those loops in place while I gently pull this through. So they don't have a chance to kind of unravel on me. And there we go. There we have our nice knot. So, all right, those are the 3 things that might be going wrong on here. Oh, you actually like to, Deb is saying you like to hold the needle like you do towards your left hand. Oh, that's a good way of doing it. So what Deb is saying, you know how I was saying like point both things up, pull the fabric or pull the thread up and pull the needle up. She says, this works if you're right-handed, point the needle towards your left hand. So if you're holding the thread with your left hand and then you point your needle towards the left hand, that's a really good way of remembering that. I like that a lot. Versus if you're going this way, then you're pointing towards the fabric again and away from your left hand. We want towards. All right, and I always get my hand in there, my finger in there, thumb. There we go. Nice little French knot. All right, you guys, so I'm going to just clip all that away. We wove in our ends before, so I think we did. Yeah, we did. I'm going to just clip this, and I'm going to actually just snip away all of these little French knot guys that we were working on. Just snip in the back, and I'll pull all of them out. So even if you make a little mistake, you can cut it out and do something else. And all these little dots are that water-soluble ink, so those will all come off too. So let me know, you guys, if you have done any of these 3 things. It's definitely, once I learned those 3 things, I mean, that was like a big aha moment for me. Like, oh, that's it. Those are the keys right there. All right. So back at it. We have 2 little more French knots here, but I think let's stitch these single chain stitches. So single chain stitches, sometimes they're called lazy daisies. Typically, a true lazy daisy will have, like, it'll be these kind of loops, these little teardrop shapes, but they'll be around like a center point, like a little dot, like little spokes. So it just keeps going around, and then it looks like a little flower, right? So this technically is what a lazy daisy is, but a lazy daisy is made up of several little single chain stitches. So these are basically single chain stitches around a center point. These are just single chain stitches floating around in space here. This is kind of like a lazy daisy, 2 single chain stitches, but pointing around like a center area. But anyway, sometimes you might hear them called a lazy daisy stitch. That's fine. Technically, it is a single chain stitch. All right, so we're changing colors. I am on the purple, and I think, didn't we get in a mess here? There we go. We did have some of these cut already. Oh, the purple is in that other group. Hold on here. There we go. I always end up with my mass of thread sitting next to me. But it's pretty, I like it. Okay. Oh, you've done them... Oh, until you watched the video. Oh, Deb, yay! Okay, so Deb said that she's done all of those French knot mistakes, but then she watched a video where I talked about them previously, and now you're making good French knots, I bet. All right, I'm getting the 3 strands again, and then we will go over how to do those single chain stitches, and then we'll top it off with those 2 little French knots. Okay. Hey, Irene. Thanks for joining me. Oh, hi, Hi, Yolanda. Oh, you're in the Facebook or in the YouTube. That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to watch again. All right, so I'm just matching up these three ends, and I'm doing that pinch method. So if you weren't here last night, how I thread my needle is, first of all, if there are different lengths or it's a little fuzzy, sometimes when you start a um, new embroidery floss, it can be pretty fuzzy. Then I just snip it off. Then I got a nice ends going there. So I pinch it. I don't wet it or anything, but I just kind of pinch it in my fingers and I like slowly unpinch it. And the moment I can see the little threads, I place my needle over the top and kind of push down on there, and then just keep on. The act of like keeping on unpinching kind of forces it forward. Then I just grab the end. So I really like that pinch method. Okay, I'm going to weave into the back of this leaf here. And then we will be all set and ready to start those single chain stitches. Hey Tracy, thanks for joining. Oh, that would be fun. Gretchen says that it'd be fun sometime to do a embroidery where we add some bling to it, like some little buttons or sequins. I have a ton of like seed beads. That would be kind of fun. I think we should give that a try. Do a project around that. All right, let's start with this first single chain stitch. So you can kind of see there is a pointed end and then like this loopy kind of round like apex. We're going to call it the apex. So I'm going to start at the pointy end. And I'm going to come all the way up. And I'm going to actually make the thread. I'll do this a couple different ways, but I'm going to make my thread kind of in the same loop as our teardrop shape here. So it's going from my spot here up and around. So is this floss. So I'm going kind of up and around. And then I'm going to go right back in the exact same hole, that point. And then I'm going to pull a little bit, but I'm not going to go very far. I'm going to stop right there. You know, I have all my thread to pull through yet. But before I go too far, I'm going to put the needle up at like the apex of that arc, the top of that arc, and I'm going to go right within my little rounded shape that I made here. And then I'm going to start pulling my thread through. And you'll notice as you keep pulling, you're going to catch this loop because you've stitched right in the middle of it. And then I'm going to just leave it kind of loose. I'm going to leave it lazy so I get to keep that teardrop shape. If I pull too tight, like I'm pulling really tight now, then it just looks like one straight stitch, right? This is, I think, our natural tendency is to pull the stitches tight like this. But with a single chain stitch, with a lazy daisy stitch, you want to remember just leave it lazy. So I'm not pulling all the way tight. I am leaving kind of a nice loose shape because then I can keep that teardrop shape. All right, so we need to anchor this down because if we just let it be, it's going to flip up. There's nothing holding that loop there. So what we're going to do is we are going to go on the other side of the loop. So it's in a different hole. We're going to go just on the other side, and we're basically tacking it down, tacking that loop down with like the tiniest of little stitches. You can even reshape it a little bit. So there we go. That is our first single chain stitch or lazy daisy stitch. Let's try another one here. So I'll do a few that way, and then I'll show you another way that you can do it. All right, I made that circle again around my piece. Then I'm going to come up at that apex, pull through, and tack it down on the other side with that little anchoring stitch. There we go. Looking pretty cute. I'm calling this like a little clover, I think. All right. We'll do one more like this, and I'll show you another way that you can do it. The next way to do it works really, really well if you are not using an embroidery hoop, because your fabric will be looser. But here's another way you can do it. So I'm going to come up at this one here, and I'm not going to worry about the thread yet, about like making that loop. I'm just going to go back in that same hole, and then right away in the same stitch, I'm going to come up at the top of my that rounded end, that apex. So right now I've gone in and out in the same movement, and while the needle is in both places here, the point is sticking out here, I'm going to grab the thread that is on the eye of the needle, and I'm going to wrap it underneath the point, the pointed end of the needle. All right, so here, let me show you from this position. So here we go, we're both in and out, and then at the thread, right, the thread with the eye of the needle there, I'm going to wrap that around and underneath the pointed end, and then I'm going to pull through. And there we go. We get that same shape. Then you got to still tack it down. There we go. Another way of doing it. Let's try that way again. So I don't do this very often just because I'm using an embroidery hoop a lot, and to go in and out in the same motion with the embroidery hoop, you kind of need your fabric a little bit looser in your hoop, and I'm used to just having it tight, so I don't do that very often. But here we go, in and out in the same motion. I'm going to grab the thread that is near the eye, and actually it doesn't really matter. You could actually do this this part too. It really doesn't matter all that much. Actually, it's probably better to do the thread that's by the bottom of the base there. Pull that through. Either will do. That's probably a little bit easier. The thread, that's your first initial thread. There you go, and we still got to tack it down there. All right, and there's two ways you can do your little lazy daisy stitches. All right, I'm going to try and crank through the rest of these guys. So again, I like making the loop. I like making that arc around my shape and then going in and out. Just feels more comfortable to me. I like this 3 strands of thread that we're using for this. It's really kind of making these little clover petals, I suppose, look just kind of round and poofy. I like the thickness of the 3 strands here, I guess. Looking sweet. Oh, you guys, our lilacs are starting to bloom. This purple and this shape is reminding me of our lilacs, and oh my gosh, does it smell amazing. I'll have to pick some, and maybe I'll put some behind me tomorrow. We have, between our driveway and our neighbor's driveway, there's just basically a hedge of lilacs dividing our driveways, and oh my gosh, this time of year is perfect. And it never lasts long. We have them for just like a little bit of time, and then there'll be some like windstorm, and then they'll just all be gone. They'll just be so perfect, and then just literally all of them will be just gone. So I'm kind of thinking, oh, we're gonna have that horrible windy rainstorm soon. I suppose it is spring, but oh man, it smells so good right now. And they're the ones that are this color. The ones that are the light purple like this, I think, are the ones that smell the best, versus the dark purple ones and the white ones. It's all about the light purple. Yum. Oh, could you do it slow again? Okay, Arloa, I will do, I'll do these last three slow again. So I came up right at the little point, and I'm just making the shape of the floss the same shape as like this teardrop. So it's, I'm basically surrounding my thread around that teardrop. And then I'm going to go back in the exact same hole I started in. Where this thread is coming out, I'm going in that same hole. Oh, and then I am not pulling too hard. I'm not pulling the thread all the way through. I want to leave all this thread on the front. And then I'm bringing the needle up at that little rounded apex there. And I'm putting it on the inside of my arc here. So as I pull, this thread that I'm pulling on is going to hold that loop in place. And I'm not pulling too tight. If they look like short little fat stitches, then you're pulling too tight. Just let it be lazy, let it be loose. And then I am going to just put a tiny, tiny stitch just on the other side of that loop. And that's what's going to hold down our loop in place. All right, so that's that way. I'll do that one more time just because that's the way I like doing it. All right, making that arced shape. I feel like I have a knot. Oh, I do. So I had my left hand on the back here, and it felt like I had a knot, and I do here. So this is one of those loopy knots. Here's actually the loop down here. I'm just going to try and get my needle inside that loop, and usually if I pull on that loop and then go underneath, I can pop it out, but this one's being a little difficult here. There we go. So pull on one side or the other. One will pull that knot right up to your needle, and then I go in here and just pop it out. So there we go. I could feel something on the back. That's why I always like having my left hand kind of involved. It's just kind of, it's my third eye, really. Okay. So let's do that again. So I came out on that point there. I'm making that arced shape around that teardrop stitch shape, that single chain stitch. Going in the same hole, not pulling too hard, and then coming up at the top of the arc, within the circle, pulling it and leaving it kind of loose there, and then tacking it down on the other side of the loop. All right, there we go. And lastly, here is that sewing, or that other method again. So I'm still coming up at that bottom point, and now I'm not worrying about the looping around. I'm just going to go right back into that point, and then I'm going to go in and out at the top of my arc at the same time. So I'm halfway in on either side. And then I'm going to take, you can take either thread, but I'm going to take the one that's still coming out of the fabric there. You can go around from left to right or right to left. It doesn't really matter. All you're doing is going underneath the needle. And then you're just going to pull your needle the rest of the way through. And you'll still catch your little loop there, and don't pull too tight. And then tack it down again on the other side. And those are the two ways of stitching it. And look how fluffy it looks. Oh, it's so cute. All right, there are two little French knots at the top here, so two little dots, and they are the same color. I have probably just enough thread to do it, so I'm going to do that again. So I'm coming up on one side of the dot. I'm going to set it down. It is so much easier to do this with your piece on a flat surface like this. All right, so let's, I'm going to hold it with my left hand, and I'm going to point the needle towards my left hand. I like that. And then we're going to go around twice. Hold those loops with your finger. And then I'm going to go on the other side of that dot, halfway in with the needle. Pull our thread tight against the fabric and the needle. So that's what it looks like at that point. And then I'm going to just get my thumb on there to hold it in place while I pull the rest of the thread through. And there we go. Should get a nice little French knot there. And one last one, and then we are done with this thread. Actually, I think this dragonfly has, is he pink? No, he's got a purple belly. I might have just enough thread to go up there and stitch that guy. I think I'm gonna risk it. Let's see. All right, there's my last little French knot. And now I'm gonna see if I can jump up here and stitch his little body. His little body and antenna are this purple. So instead of jumping straight up there, you can kind of see he's right there. I'm gonna kind of go in the back of these green stitches, then I won't have as big of a jump. Ooh, I'm gonna have just enough thread. So let's try and do a back stitch around him. So I'm just gonna start and end at his little pointy end there, I guess. All right, I'm gonna do some bigger stitches. I think we can do, it looks like maybe 4 stitches. I'm mentally trying to divide up this line in my head, and 4 stitches look pretty good, I think. He has 2 big lazy daisy or single chain stitches for his wings too. What color are those? Oh, that's blue. So blue is the same color as the flower or the watering can here. I don't think there's any other blue. All right, let's get his little antenna while I'm here. And yeah. Embellishments would be super fun. So I've done an embroidery, and this was like when I was 15 maybe. I was very much into beads when I was in junior high, I guess, in elementary school, and I did some bead work embroidery on leather before. That'd be interesting to try. And I loved making beaded bracelets, like woven beaded bracelets. Oh man, that would be fun to break out some of those old school crafts that I was doing and play around with that. That would be a really just silly, goofy kind of Saturday project for us sometime. That would be pretty neat. All right, we totally had enough thread for this. That makes me so happy. All right. Let's weave in the end. I have literally just enough thread to weave in the end here. You know what? I think I'm going to weave the end into this green because with the wings that we'll be doing for the dragonfly up there, I have a hunch that we'll be weaving into the backs of these stitches quite a bit. So that'll get pretty thick there. So let's just go in an area where we haven't woven in yet. All right, our 3 times, and then we will snip that end. Okay. And there we go. Oh, Christy, so you loved your bead loom. I have all that stuff in this house somewhere yet. I'm going to have to dig it up. Dang, I was making beaded bracelets. I was actually selling, I know it's junior high because I was selling bracelets to people in junior high. I would custom weave their names in with beads. Oh, that was fun. I totally want to do that again. Fun. All right, you guys, I think we have a little bit of time left. So what I'd like to do, I'm just kind of moving this way. I want to just maybe do this fern yet tonight because it's got a whole pile of those lazy daisies. So that'd be kind of fun to do. And then we have, I think his little stem here is the same color. So we're moving on to that, it's not yellow, it's that kind of lime citrus, kind of pale though, like a pale lime green. So the lazy daisies, they take up a lot of floss. So even though this doesn't look like much, well, even though this doesn't look like much, this took up a whole entire piece of floss. So I suspect that we are not going to be able to do this whole fern or frond. Let's call it a frond. I don't know if it's really a fern. That whole frond with just this one length of floss. It's about a 24-inch, 20 to 24-inch piece of floss here. Okay, I think, how should we do this? I think maybe let's just stitch these few stitches. I'm gonna weave in the ends here. Let's stitch this stem here just so we can say that we've finished a flower. And then I think we will do all of the single chain stitches up and then down, or actually up, and then we'll do, well, yeah, we'll do both sides at the same time. We'll go like doot, 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 doot. And then we'll come down the stem again to do the stem. All right, there's my plan. I always kind of, like I said, I kind of map it out for myself. All right, I'm going to go in the backs of all these little purple stitches that we just did. I think this purple and this lime green go together well. As many threads as you can. We're trying to make it secure. Oh, your 11-year-old granddaughter is into weaving bracelets. Oh, with embroidery floss. Oh, that would be fun. Oh, just like weaving the embroidery floss together. Oh, how fun. Gosh, I've never tried that before. Man, that seems like something, a craft I should have been doing, weaving embroidery floss. I did do a lot of friendship bracelets, so there was all like the knotted embroidery floss stuff. But just plain weaving would be so pretty. Ooh, I like that idea. I have that bead loom that would work perfectly with embroidery floss. Oh, I like it. Okay. Let's jump up to these lazy daisies now, or the single chain stitches. That's I like how bright this is against that dark green that's behind it there. Maybe I'll try the in and out versions of this. Let's give that a go. Tack it down. And remember to leave them kind of lazy. Leave them so they still have that teardrop shape. If you pull them too tight, then you lose that. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is just these kind of teardrops. All right, let's go in and out. There we go. Loop around. Oh, cute. I think these are pretty sweet. All right, let's try that again. And you can always loosen the fabric in your embroidery hoop, because it is a little bit easier to make these shapes, these lazy daisies. If you're going in and out in the same motion, that is a bit easier with a looser fabric. And you can see I'm rotating my piece a lot. I'm just doing that so it's most comfortable for my left hand to hold, really, so I can still feel the backs of the stitches. So that's kind of why I just keep moving, why I'm not always in like an upright position. It's just however it feels best to keep my left hand where it is. On the left. I'm going to see if I can find all that beading stuff. I know where well, actually, I just emptied out my, we made where I had all my craft stuff. We had a spare bedroom here at the house here. that I had all my stuff in, but we just a little while ago turned it into a guest room, which now with Corona, I suppose I could turn it back, but like we turned it into a guest room, so most of my craft stuff is now in the basement. So I was thinking, oh, I know just where all that bead stuff is and where that my beading loom from junior high is too. But now I'm thinking maybe I don't actually know where they are, in the basement somewhere. I think it's still pretty organized, but I don't know in an instant what shelf it's on. Oh, gotta clean up all that yet too. We cleaned the basement a bit this weekend because it rained, and then we were starting to get water in the basement again. Ugh, we're gonna have to regrade, I think. So that'll be a fun summer, late spring project. Boo. Oh, thanks, Amy. Yeah, we have a little kind of bouquet happening over here. Just about. All right, I will stitch tonight until we are done with this frond. I think I'm losing floss pretty dang quickly on it. Like I said, lazy daisy stitches or these single chain stitches, they do take up quite a bit of floss. So I will need to get my second piece. I hope I don't need to get a third, but it's looking like I might. So we'll see. This one got a little twisted. Let's help it out a little. There we go. Ugh, I think I'll be able to do one more with this thread. Ugh, can I even do one more? We're gonna force one more out of this thread. All right. Oh yeah, ribbon embroidery, that would be cool. So I have never done ribbon embroidery. You can make some really pretty flowers, it looks like, with like silk ribbon, and you're kind of like poking the ribbon and manipulating it. It looks like, from what I've seen from like videos and stuff for ribbon embroidery. Yeah, I've never done that, so that'd be kind of a fun one to try. I always like experimenting and trying new things on the show here with you guys. So this doesn't have, the backs of these stitches don't have a whole lot to weave into, but as long as I'm trying to grab as many threads as I can, we still should be pretty good here. All right, I'm going to grab that other piece that I had going right away. Everything doesn't seem quite matched up. Let's adjust that. You can actually just snip it, but I'm going to try and put these strands together again. All right, there we are. Okay, let's weave in again by going in the same spot in this kind of sparse area. It's not very dense like the backs of the back stitches. I think by going through this area again, I'm kind of securing it even a little bit more there. All right, let's see if we can finish this ferny frond with just this one piece of floss. I suspect it's going to be close. Like, I'm going to have a few stitches. Or like, it's going to be playing chicken again, I think. You'd love to try the ribbon to Debbie? Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Yeah, Yolanda, I do think embellishments would be fun. It's been a while. That'd be neat for sure. Been a while since I went to my normal way of doing it. Been a while since I've done that sort of embroidery plus. That's what we should call it, right? 7 more to go. We can't forget his little wings later, but we'll wait till we have, till we're working on the blue. Oops, I'm kind of combining my two ways of doing this because my body wants to do it the normal way normal to me, where I make that loop around beforehand, but I'm kind of this in and out way is growing on me a little bit, but I'm still not used to it, so I keep pulling my needle through before looping it around. Alright, we're getting there. So I think after tonight we'll get things done on this a little quicker. Tonight we are going over how to do the French knots and how to do the lazy daisies. So now that we've done that, first of all, I'd love if you gave it a try, and I'd love to see what you're doing in the Penguin and Fish Crafters group. But after tonight, we've kind of learned the 3 stitches, and we will be able to zoom through this a little bit more. And if you are not stitching as fast as me, I mean, don't feel bad about that. I'm on purpose, for the most part, trying to go a little quick because I do want to see how far we can get this. I would love to be able to... I'm not sure I'll be able to do this, but I'd love to finish by Friday so I can take that stick and stitch stabilizer off so I can show you guys how to do that. I suspect I might not quite get done by then, but we'll see. Maybe I'll work on it this weekend and do a live this weekend. We'll see where we're at with it. All right. And now we got those little fronds done. Now we just have to work our way down the stem. And I'm going to just do a back stitch. Ugh, we are low on the floss. Boo. And I kind of go in the middle of these stitches, and I'm trying to cross over where our lazy daisy, our single chain stitches kind of meet in the middle. I'm going to cross over that because that'll kind of cover up the points. It'll cover up where those 2 points kind of join. And I think that's just a pretty look. So I'm going to try and cover up where those points meet all the way down here. Alrighty, I think we will have literally just enough floss here again. I'm running out. I got at least 4 more stitches here. I'm going to try and do a trick where I go a back stitch and then a forward stitch. So here's a forward stitch, like I'm going in the direction of what I'm stitching, and then a back stitch and then a forward stitch. That can sometimes save floss. I like to stay consistent because I think the stitches look a little bit nicer if you're just always using a back stitch, but doing this trading off between a forward stitch and a back stitch can sometimes just conserve floss. So if you're playing chicken like I am now, it might get you to the end with just enough floss, and I think we did it. I just need to scrounge. That was a pretty big stitch, but I'm trying to get to the end. Oh, look, that's so little, but it's enough. That's our last stitch. There, my stitches got pretty big at the end there. But I've just enough. Gosh, it's going to be tough to weave in that last third weave, but we're going to give it a try. If your thread gets too short, you can actually weave with the eye side. So if I can go back through this with the eye of my needle, it doesn't have to be the point, and that might be what gets you to that last little stitch. Like I can't even get my needle through. There we go. Let's snip that. All right, let's take a look at how far we got tonight. I'm going to take this out of the hoop again. All right, so there we are. We got that little frond and our little clover done tonight. Yay, I'm excited about that. I think actually tomorrow, I kind of want to do this guy. I think we'll do this little cardinal. Because it's fun to do the little characters, and that will allow us to weave in the backs of these stitches to do this cardinal. And then I think after that, let's try and do this watering can. I think by doing the watering can, it'll feel like we've gotten a lot done right away. So if we do the cardinal first, then we can weave in the ends of the cardinal and then do this guy. And then maybe we'll get him down here when we're done with that. And then we'll do the rest of the flowers there. Ooh, but we're coming along. I think maybe, hopefully tomorrow we can at least get the bird and the can done. I feel pretty confident about that. So let's say that's Wednesday. Then let's say Thursday we get this guy done and maybe these 3 flowers. And then Friday, I don't know, we might be cutting it pretty close. We might actually be able to get done by Friday. I don't know. We might have to stay a little bit late to take off the stick and stitch, but we can give it a try. I'm just going to pull this up a little. Got a little bunchy, but since this is removable, you can just kind of flatten it out again, and it'll stick right back down. All right, you guys, I'm going to flip you around, and we'll call it an evening here. There, hello. Nice seeing everyone again tonight, and thanks for chatting both in the Facebook page, the Penguin and Fish Facebook page, and the YouTube Penguin and Fish Movies. It's awesome just chit-chatting with you guys, but there we go. That is what we got done tonight. We got maybe a fifth of the way done. So we got some catching up to do these next couple days, but it's going well. I think it's just looking pretty. I love the colors, and I'm just having a good time. So I hope you guys are too. This pattern is available in the Penguin and Fish shop yet. There is a link below if you wanted to check that out. There's still time to stitch it live with us. Just gather your stuff up for tomorrow. We'll be here the next 3 days live stitching, and the replays will stay on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies, so you can watch it again there. And this pattern is only available through May though, so make sure to grab it if you want to stitch it with us here. So thanks again, everyone. I hope you have a great evening, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good evening. Good night.